let's,
How would you like to start the conversation today?
let me see. If you can just give us like a little, can you introduce yourself and how long have you been dancing bachata? And, you know, and then we'll go off from there. I'll feed off from that.
Sure. Well, guys, nice to meet you. I'm Jorge Elizondo. I'm known by Bachata George by many, and I've been at this since 2006. I was a beginner dancer in 2004, if you believe it. I quickly studied and developed my own version of bachata, truth be told. At the time in 2004, there wasn't much bachata. It might be the bachata some of you have seen where you say you learn it very quickly, you go to the left, you go to the right, a little bit like the electric slide. That was bachata when I first started. Some older man at the club showed me those basic steps, going side to side, forward and back, and how to do a turn. And I started to infuse what I was learning with salsa, what I was learning with cha-cha, what I was learning with my cumbia, what I was learning with some tango I was learning at the beginning. And I developed something called Bachata Fusion. And I was just pretty much mixing a lot of my salsa and bachata just because I didn't have anything else to do. And I felt that I really loved bachata music and I just wanted more things to do with the music than just side to side. And that's when I started developing Bachata Fusion. And another thing that came together, there's something called Casino Rueda, which is salsa dance in a group format from Cuba. And I just love the idea of dancing with my friends and making it so easy for everyone to dance together because there's a leader and the leader tells all the people dancing in the group what to do. So if you're not a good dancer, it's easy for you to just listen to what the leader tells you and you execute the move and now you're dancing as a team. And I took that concept and I made Bachata Rueda. Took the same idea as Casino Rueda, which is for salsa, and put it in bachata. And that's kind of how I started to spread bachata all over the world because I took something that people loved in the salsa scene and I gave it to them in bachata, and that opened the doors for me to start infecting all the salsa dancers because there was no market for bachata. Bachata was mainly in New York, maybe in California, where there's a more Latin America group. Where I live, I live in the border of Mexico and U.S. I live 5 miles away from Mexico. We're mostly Mexican Americans, and we were doing more cumbia, norteño, and tejano. So I didn't see bachata very much. So it did exist, of course, for all these years, but it was limited to those barrios of people from DR. And I guess my goal became, let me share this dance and make it easy for an average person to dance it. And that's what I started developing along the way was making it a group, make it easy to follow, easy to dance together, and make it easy enough for anyone to learn. And I've been an educator my whole life. I studied education in the university. I was a band director for a couple of years. I've totally stopped that. I've been dancing for 16 years now. But that helped me translate all my information and share my knowledge with people because I was able to break it down. And that's it, man. That's how I started. I took something that nobody wanted, made it easy, and gave it to the world. And I guess another thing that we did was we changed it from the original dance because the original dance, luckily I didn't know what that was because that looks really complicated when you look at it because it's more of a how you feel, how you learn from your mom and dad. When you watch people dancing from DR, it's not something you learn in a class. It's something you learn more from your family, in your gatherings, from your society, than going to an actual class. And that's really hard to teach someone that doesn't dance how to do that. So we broke it down in a way where it was really systematic. So
whenever you first started like wanting to take bachata all over the world, was it something, why did you want to do that? Like it seemed like bachata was not accessible for a lot of people, or it wasn't maybe like a huge interest. So you know, it would have been probably easier to pursue salsa, right? Because everybody was doing salsa and then doing a little bachata on the side, but you went for it like full on into bachata, knowing that it wasn't like so worldwide. What was your vision for that?
Now, if you're asking me, did I have a grand vision when I first started? I did not have a grand vision. I took a concept that I saw in Miami of the Casino Rueda, I brought it home, And one day I went to New York City, and my friend's like, "Why don't you teach what you're teaching in New York City?" And I go, "Well, who's gonna invite me? Who am I? I'm from a small little town in South Texas. Why would New York City invite me to teach?" And then she opened this idea that blew my mind, and she's like, "It's only $20 to rent a studio." And I was like, "I can rent a studio?" And that's how it opened. I rented the biggest studio in New York, Dance Sport in New York. That's one of the biggest ballroom studios in New York City. And I rented a studio space for 1 hour. Actually, it was 2 hours, my first class ever. And she said, "I will tell all my Casino Rueda dancers from New York City that you're gonna come teach them how to do this in bachata." And that's how I started. And I'm gonna tell you, it was really nice. I had 20 students show up for someone they've never met to try a concept they've never tried, but they knew they liked the idea of Rueda. And at the end of that, I sat down, I thought about it. I went to New York City, I taught something I love, I introduced it to new people, they loved it, and I paid off my whole trip and made extra money. And that's what blew my mind. I went to New York City and it was paid off and I made money.
Yeah, yeah.
And the concept of I don't need to be invited to teach. So this, I'm going to be honest, the concept of you studying dance and being in the university and getting your education, that is amazing. I got my education in music. I just think it's a good foundation. I just happened to fall into dance and I didn't study dance. And I'm just a regular person who knows how to teach concepts. And I took something that I developed and I taught it. Um, but yeah, I'm not trying to take away from the education. It's just something that just happened. Uh, Nobody could tell me I could not be a professional bachata instructor because there was not a single person that was considered or even wanted the title of professional bachata instructor. It was me, the first one in the US, and all the salsa instructors that I studied from, they encouraged me, but none of them, like if I were to say I was a professional salsa instructor, they would have told me 2 seconds, "No, you're not. You just been dancing 1 year." But since no one was doing bachata, nobody cared and nobody stopped me, which was amazing at that time because they could have all easily ganged up on me and said, "What are you doing? Why are you teaching? You only been doing it for a year. You're not ready." And luckily, no one stopped me, no one discouraged me, and I just kept on moving forward. Isn't that crazy?
We have a question for you. So
Yes.
go ahead.
No, I noticed that you said you dance at a studio in New York City, like that you could rent it for $20. So I'm just wondering like what studio it was. I think you said the name, but I don't recognize it.
It was Dance Sport. It was on Columbus Circus. Columbus Circus. They moved, but the original location, if you type in Dance Sport, it's one of the biggest ballroom studios in New York City.
Got you. Columbus by 43rd or?
Yeah, it was literally right in front of the Columbus statue by the park. That's where it was located. That's where my first class. Now they moved down to where Macy's is. They're by Macy's. Now they're a different studio. They bought a bigger location, but back in the day in 2006, they were down there. So, and that basically what happened. That event is what inspired the rest of my movement. I just started renting studios all over the US and I was coordinating my own workshops. And my formula was kind of unique because I was calling studios and I was opening the doors to myself by giving the studio an opportunity to make money with no investment. I paid my own flight, I paid my own uh, hotel, I invested on advertisement. I just said, just tell your students, if you come, I will share 50% of my profit with you. Just open the door for me. And this is how I spread bachata, not because people wanted it, it's because I made it possible for everyone to say yes and not lose money and just have an opportunity to make money. So I use money as a way to allow myself to be open the door, I guess. Because if I would have said, pay me this, buy me this, give me a hotel, give me flight, nobody would have said yes in 2007.
Which is the way it usually works now, right? Like any artists, any festivals, I mean, you get hired for your work, but to do what you did now is probably a little bit more, it's still doable, but bachata is so accessible now too, right? So it can still work. It's a formula that can still continue to work for those that want to pursue something like that.
Yes, it's become an industry. You got top artists charging $5,000 for 2 classes and 1 show now. At my
Right?
time, nobody would have paid for a show. Nobody would
Yeah.
have paid for a class. I was begging them to take me, and I'm giving them part of my money
Yeah.
to make it possible.
Now, will you how many countries will you say that you have taken bachata to?
I personally, I introduced bachata to maybe at least minimum with DVD sales, 60 countries. My DVDs sold around the world for 10 years. Now nobody's buying DVDs, but those first 3-4 years, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
And then 2009, I headed off to Europe. I think in total, I probably personally been to at least 25, 30 countries. I brought it first to Vietnam. I brought it first to Russia. I brought it first to let's see, China. I was the first in China, the first in Korea, and not to say like maybe someone wasn't doing bachata classes in these cities, because of course bachata has been around because the Dominicans have flourished all over the world. So if you go to Italy, there's a huge community there. You go to Russia, there's some there. You go to Korea, there's some there. I mean, they're everywhere, but normally they were kept to their own community. They weren't out there teaching it to the public. I believe I was the first teaching the public about their dance. And that's what I want to make sure I'm making clear. Not that it wasn't there before. And just like the US, there was bachata in the US, but it was mostly in their own communities. And the regular people weren't doing it. I feel like I helped bring it to the masses and educate the world about it. So.
Now, I remember that when I first met you with Rodrigo, it was Rodrigo and I that first met you. We were in Atlanta in one of the festivals there, and you were selling your DVDs there. And we thought, you do bachata? You do, like, you travel all over with bachata? Like, we couldn't believe it, because like in like Atlanta, I think it was Atlanta or LA, and you know, like all the shows were just salsa, no real bachata shows or anything, and that's how we first encountered you. But then we really connected with you in another event, right? But when we first met you, we were like watching you like selling DVDs, and we thought, that is such a good idea.
I was in every festival selling DVDs for bachata, and people were like, "What's bachata?" But yeah, it took a lot of work, and luckily, Casino Rueda, the salsa, the Bachata Rueda, got me into the first Congress, which was in Chicago, so I can teach Bachata Rueda, and that was awesome because I got to teach 200 people in that class. The organizer couldn't believe how many people showed up for a Bachata class, and that was kind of my stepping stone. Once I had a festival under my name, I had a couple of credibility now. I've been an instructor at this festival. You should trust that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Before I was this little guy from South Texas. I will go teach bachata. So yeah, everything fell into place, and you know what? My background, I told you I studied music education, but between the music education, I was studying graphic arts. I was teaching myself video editing. I was teaching myself sales. I worked at T-Mobile for a little bit. I worked at Sprint for a little bit. I worked at hotels.com for a little bit, and all these little jobs. And guys, you never know. Whatever you're doing right now, it's for a reason. It's going to come back and it's going to help you, because all the talents I built in all these little jobs, I was a one-man show, and I continue being a one-man show. I make my own graphics. I make my own videos. I do my own promotion. I do my own DVDs. It's amazing. Any skill you can learn just makes you a better artist. Some dancers only focus on the dance, and then they don't get any further because they don't know how to take it to the next level with all the things that can support you underneath it.
Right.
And so I totally recommend you dabbing into a lot of other things to help you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because like us running our own business is, we don't just show up to the studio and teach. You know, we have to promote classes, do flyers, or hire somebody that can do flyers, because if I do flyers, forget it. It would be like all distorted. You know, learn
Look,
to.
can you see this?
Yes, that's our shirt.
I brought them out. I didn't know if it was going to show, but these are all festivals. This is Russia. I have them all. I collect them from all the events that This is San Francisco. This is the first bachata ever in the world. It was in Australia. I know
Wow.
it doesn't show because it's editing, but it's just, you know, being a dancer, they're multi-talented. They're promoters too. Rodrigo and Wendy, they organized Charlotte, what is it? Charlotte Invitation?
Invitational, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, they started off with salsa, but then they started embracing bachata, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, we started off with a little bit of tango, and then when we were like, well, how can we really want to travel, you know, and we want to be part of these festivals, what can we offer that is different and can stand out? And we also, you know, did a fusion of bachatango and salsa tango, and with our tango background, we were able to like really fuse those steps without looking like tango dancers dancing to bachata, you know. So that really opened up the doors for us, and then bachata has maintained those doors open for us too, you know. So, and Jorge, we have a question for you. Let me see, we have two questions, but one of them I want to leave for the end. From Alisa, she has a question for you.
Sure.
Alisa, you're on.
Okay. I was just listening to everything and it sounds very motivating. Like you're one person show and you're getting all this stuff done. Was there ever something that set you back that you grew from?
That set me back, that I grew. Yeah, I mean, I'm always the hardest thing about the dance industry, and I'm gonna tell you, I overcame it, but at the same time, still emotional, is that it's sad, but looks and your size. I mean, right now, guys, you're looking at me right now, and I'm a big guy, but I've lost 250 pounds. I was almost 400 pounds. I was traveling the world 10 years big. Mentally, I thought I was 80 pounds. If she can tell you, I dance like I'm 80 pounds. I move. Yeah. So that's big.
Yeah, and we have seen that change in, you know, through all your stages in life. It's just such is you're always the same person, you know, but watching you get healthy and with more energy and full of life now, you have the opportunity to help so many other instructors too, the way you have always done that.
Yeah, and I'm a mentor now, mentor and organizer.
Mm-hmm.
The dance has become really, really sexy now, and you know, what helps you a lot is if you're sexy and you have a beautiful outfit and you have the look. That's kind of propelling people beyond where they should be in reality. But sex sells. Luckily, I had a foundation and I was doing something really solid that people overlooked at. They wanted the information, they wanted the technique, they wanted the value I gave. And that got me through. But nowadays, I don't think it'll push through anymore. So I've evolved to where my next step is, and that's inspiring, motivating, mentoring, and just putting events, cultivating all the people that are developing now and giving them a platform. And you just have to evolve. You just can't stick with the same formula.
Right, right. Yeah. We have a couple more questions for you, Jorge. From Caris. Go ahead, Caris.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure the best way to word this question, because I just wanted to ask, like, what was a moment or a couple moments that you really realized that, or that were really special when you were teaching or sharing bachata with people who had no experience with it? This class is my first experience ever with bachata. And so I just wanted to know if you had any of those moments where you really realized that you really enjoyed what you were doing.
I have enjoyed it from the first moment. I've been a teacher my whole life. And when I found something, I know this is not good to say, but I've been a teacher my whole life. I like teaching people that want to learn. I was a band director in the public school system. And just in a few years, I mean, I don't know if Wendy knows this, but at 19, I already had my full credentials from the university. I was teaching in high school at 19. My ex-girlfriend was one of my senior students. I was teaching her saxophone. It was really ridiculous that my own student was my ex-girlfriend. But yeah, I taught and uh, and unfortunately, in the public school system, even though I worked really hard and I did really well, and they were shocked how well I could get these students to excel in music, I didn't like that I had to work 10 times harder to get them to do it. I want to teach, but I want to teach people that want to learn. And when I became a dance instructor, now it was the opposite. People were paying me because they wanted to learn, and now I was teaching them something that I didn't have to force them to learn. And I knew I loved that a lot more because now my passion was going directly to people, and I was getting the masses to learn it because they wanted to learn it. It was not just because they were forced to learn it. And I guess that was a moment that really transitioned. And I never went back to public teaching because in public teaching, you just have to really, really have that big heart and really motivate anyone. And I felt that's not where I was. I wanted to share and I wanted to help people, but I wanted the people that wanted it. So that's kind of where I'm at this stage.
Nice. We have one more question for you from Sophia. Go ahead, Sophia.
It's kind of like similar to Carissa's, but like, what was like your favorite place that you taught bachata?
My favorite place. I think Wendy can answer that because I go 5 times a year. I go to China. So many times, and I went there right before the Olympics, and I saw China before China decided to evolve and go to a whole different level. You know, before they cleaned up and they started changing for the better. And it's amazing teaching in China because the level of dancers in China will blow your mind. The way they dance, the way they move. So it's just great teaching out there, you know, because it opens a door. I get to see many different things. I've been to 25 different cities in China. I've been all over that country, and I enjoy it. Not that I enjoy going all over the world, but recently that's where I've transitioned most of my instruction to Asia because Europe, they have their good set of the best dancers that are professional. They come from Europe, so they have theirs. And so I spend most of my time in Asia. So Korea, I love Asia, China, Vietnam. Rodrigo and Wendy got to go to Vietnam. I know they enjoyed it. They're super talented in Vietnam too. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
So I would totally recommend once we can get back, go dancing in these other countries. You're gonna be like, whoa.
I remember when we were in China. So guys, let's talk about a little bit of the festivals that he's involved in. So whenever you become a festival promoter, what he does is that he hires different instructors and performers to come and teach for a weekend filled of dance, right? And his festival was probably the only one that was like 100% bachata. And then he started like adding more dances into it. So everybody came together like a big family. Like if you like to dance, you can do salsa, bachata, kizomba, souk, whatever you want. And he will provide that in that festival, right? And so they're usually, you find these festivals in a hotel. So everybody stays at the hotel and, you know, you're just there. You wake up, you teach, you perform, you dance all night until 8 a.m. And let me tell you, like he has it, the one that we went to was in Dallas, right, from that he organizes. And this hotel was like run down, you guys, like, oh my God, this hotel was not the prettiest hotel. But let me tell you, everybody went to this festival because like the energy that you're getting from him now, imagine that in a dance festival. So everybody wants to be part of it. He always gets every dancer to come. So everybody's just having a good time. And one year it even flooded on us, right, Jorge?
Parts of the building falling on people.
And nobody cared. Like I think there was only like a few complaints. And you know, he finally found a better hotel, of course, but nothing changed, you know, like the energy is one of our favorite festivals to always attend. It's the one festival that we get to dance all night. We don't care about the next day. It's just such an amazing event that you always provide. And when we went to China with you, it was the same thing. I mean, like not even part of the festival, but like even when we were like out there hustling people
In the market.
in the market, like it was just, you create such an experience for artists, which makes you like love even more what we do, which is teach and perform, which can be like very repetitive every weekend, but you somehow always provide something different.
I try. My goal is always to inspire my artists and to support my artists. And many organizers, sometimes they're too busy with I don't know how to word it. The glory of, oh, I got this organizer and my event is the best and come because I have these people. When someone has that kind of attitude, you kind of feel it amongst the people, because then you kind of, what I decided to do is that my team is always a team. There's not one special person. It's the combination of everyone I put together to give this experience, and I support them and I'm with them 100%. So they see me working just as hard for them as I want them to work for my people. And when you do that, you become a community and you're able to give an experience to the audience, because sometimes these events are focused on the artist and not focused on the person experiencing it, the festival. And I like to give that to both. I take care of the artists, they take care of the attendees, and overall, the attendees have that experience. And the artists themselves have a great time because they know I've taken care of everything for them. Sometimes as professionals, you got to be ready. Some promoters are not going to treat you well, and you're not going to get fed, or you're not going to get paid on time, or the schedule is not going to be out on time, or they're not going to tell you what they need you to do, and then you fall behind because you don't know what's going on. And you just have to be ready. But my job as an organizer now is to make sure that everything's ready for them so we can have an overall great event. And like she said, I didn't have the best venue. I called it a Ghetto Fabulous Hotel. The ballroom was wonderful. The hotel itself was so-so, but it was the experience and the love that was being generated inside that ballroom that made people coming back. And luckily, the last 5 years, I'm in a beautiful Sheraton now. So I think the whole package has come together. And I'm hoping that this year, it's going to be back October 14th through the 17th. So learn your basics. You can join me next year.
We have a couple more questions for you, Jorge. Okay, so Ari, go ahead. Go for it.
Okay, so I had a few questions. I wrote them down, but I have to remember what I said. Okay. Okay, so if we're traveling, so I've always wanted to go to Italy, like 100%. So when you just said that there's bachata in Italy, my heart just skipped a beat. So I want to know, where's the best place for beginner bachata traveling for us to go, and to, like, if we're going to travel, where's the place that we should go if we want to dance, like, and have a nightlife and have like a good experience with dancing internationally? What's the best place? Hands down.
You know, Italy is one of the first places I knew there was bachata. They have a big Dominican community there. And Milan and Rome, of course, would be your best spots for social dancing bachata. But I'm going to tell you, it's not the easiest in the whole of Europe. In Italy, the problem with Italy, like Rome and Milan, is that the dancing is outside of the center. So you're going to spend money, like 30 euros just to go to the club, and then 30 euros to come back, because they cannot afford to have those big clubs. Their clubs have like 300 to 500 people every night. Mm-hmm. So you're not talking this little 30, 50, 80 people. You're talking about hundreds of people, like a festival every Saturday, every Friday. That's why you always had to go outside of the city. But everywhere else in Europe, you'll find dancing right in the center. I mean, it's just Italy was always the hardest place for me to go social dancing. So you're definitely gonna love that. What else did you ask me? I know you asked me about Italy.
Is there anywhere else besides Italy? So if Italy is expensive, where's the best place to social dance?
Anywhere in Europe. Every city has it. And anywhere in the world. You can dance bachata anywhere in the world, literally. The first time me and Wendy and Rodrigo actually had a real conversation was in Madrid in a club called Orange. Yeah. And she's probably freaking out that I remember all this, but I don't forget anything.
It's who I am. I'm like randomly in this club, and he comes on, hey, Wendy, hey, you know this? I'm like, what is going on?
so yeah. everywhere in Europe, you can dance. So make your trip, and all you have to do is type in bachata, and it'll pop up. There's so many sources for bachata dancing. The only issue now is that COVID has definitely stopped all the normal parties. So you're just gonna have to just do a little research. You'll be able to find it.
Okay, so the next question is from Ana Santos.
Hello, Bachata Jorge. My first question to you is, so I know you said that you're from Texas, but what is your ethnicity?
Mexican American. My
Me
grandma
too.
my grandma was born in Mexico. My parents were born here in the U.S. I was born here in the U.S. So I never danced until 2004. I wasn't a dancer. I just more a musician, and honestly, I was more of a classical musician. So I didn't even know salsa, cha-cha, bachata, any of that when I was in university. I was studying the classical stuff. So all this was new to me in 2004. So definitely opened the doors for me.
Gotcha. And so that leads me to my second question, because I know you said that bachata was very little back in the day and it was like unknown. And the way that people knew about it was through like communities and stuff. And you being Mexican, I know that's not something that Mexicans typically dance. So how were you introduced to bachata?
Luckily, I live in the border, and I think what happens here, I'm pretty sure is what happened. We had a lot of Caribbean people cross over, and they can't get any further than my area. Because if you go 3 hours north, an hour north of where I'm at, you have to check a checkpoint with the Border Patrol to get to San Antonio. So I think they might have crossed over the river, and they were stuck in our area. So in my little town, we have 7 bands. They all play salsa, they all play bachata, they play cumbias, and we have more bands in Houston or Dallas, But I really think that's probably the issue. They cross over and they can't get any further because those border checks. And in the community where I live, it's really nice and it's really low. The price of living is so cheap here, so I think people just stay here. And I think that's how we got exposed to bachata, because they were actually playing bachata here for years.
Wow.
Gotcha. And what city did you say you were in?
I'm in McAllen. McAllen, Brownsville, South Padre Island. Some of you might want to come down here for the beach. Yeah. So if you see news and Border Patrol, and the immigrants, that's happening in my town right now.
Oh wow.
They're flooding in because we're literally in the border. So I know we're gonna have a lot of Cuban music now, because there's a lot of Cubans that are crossing over. So I know Cuban Rueda. I started seeing that more a year ago out in the clubs. I was like, I can see Cuban dancers actually dancing this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm noticing the difference, because here literally we're 98% Hispanic. It's one of the few places in the whole U.S. where the Mexican Americans, we're the doctors, we're the lawyers, we're the teachers, we're every high positional job is Hispanic here. And I don't think there's another spot in the U.S. like where I live. It's called the Rio Grande Valley.
Wow. Now, I know, Jorge, that I told you like 15 minutes, but I'm so glad that the students are like really interested in everything that you're saying, and they're participating. So, and we don't want to take any more of your time, but could you leave us with some of the really good news of bachata that's happening right now?
Yes, I just shared some wonderful news with Wendy, and this might be a surprise to you, but bachata in general from the Dominican Republic, if you study the history, it's not a music or a dance that the Dominican Republic wanted to embrace. They actually banned it for many years, until Juan Luis Guerra released Bachata Rosa, that the government finally said, it's okay. Now you can listen to it. Now you can play it in the radio. Now it can be out in the public, because before it was totally banned. It was underground music. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to be part of a Zoom call. All the major instructors from around the world were put together with a couple of musical artists like Danny J and Daniel Santa Cruz, with the government of the DR, the Culture Ministry Department. And they actually asked us, because they wanted to tell us that the president of the Dominican Republic wants to embrace bachata for the first time and wants the world to know that bachata belongs to them. And I think that's a wonderful step forward, because I don't believe I've ever heard this from that before. And they're saying, yeah, now we want to own it. We want the world to know that bachata belongs to us and you all are enjoying a piece of our culture. And they want us, anytime we post a video, to put a little flag of the Dominican Republic or put dance from the Dominican Republic. So basically, they want to brand it. And I just thought that was wonderful because now the actual country where it's from is embracing it 100%, and that president wants the world to know. And I know Wendy has told you it's from the Dominican Republic. And I know I told my students, but just for the president of the country to embrace it and make it their own is just, I think, good news. And I think it's wonderful, So I shared that with her. This just happened. So.
History in the making.
That's history in the making, like what Rodrigo's saying here. So this is really good, exciting news about bachata. It came from like very difficult beginnings, like a lot of our typical Latin dance music and dances that, bachata would have to be a little bit of a hiding away kind of thing to be able to enjoy music. And now to be worldwide, you can find it all over the world. And to be able to have you in this as a guest artist, somebody that has put so much work into it and has helped so many artists along the way. Like I know personally, you have opened up so many doors for us. And now with the whole COVID, you're still helping artists on how to like continue to do the art and keep applying for all these programs that are out there. And you're doing all the hard work for a lot of the artists here. So we just want to say thank you, and we really, really appreciate it. I know that we have some more questions, so it's up to you if you want to answer them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one. I'm going to go back to the one that I said that we were going to wait. So somebody had a question about COVID. So go ahead and ask that question now.
That was me again. So I had a question about how COVID has affected your business and how much it's spread through bachata. Like, has it, because I know COVID's been like international, so like it's been an issue for everybody. So has that affected your business or like your dancing ability a lot? And then I also wanted to just comment on, I saw earlier you got a little bit emotional talking about your difficulties with your weight and bachata, and I just wanted to say thank you for bringing it to the world and persisting through that and being the one person that is, or not one, but one of the many that have spread it so much and made it, because it kind of like, it inspires me because it's part of my culture. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I mean, the industry totally stopped, but it did cause innovation. And it was really cool to see the younger people, the motivated. And you know what happened in 2020 is that people that weren't a big name in bachata, and I can tell you it happened in China, and then it happened in the US. In China, I got really, really inspired because many of the students that I helped train in my festivals and when I went around teaching in China, they're instructors now. And in China, they value outside instructors. If you're an outside instructor, they value you and they're going to pay you to come and teach them now. But what happened with COVID is they were locked out. And for the first time, their own teachers, which I know are amazing, but it's really hard to make it in your own town. And for the first time in China, they started making their own festivals online, and they were showcasing their talent to their own people. And I thought that was amazing because now they're becoming their own celebrities, because we have our own celebrities here in the US for salsa and bachata. But in China, a festival was normally 90% outside instructors. Local teachers would never teach in a festival. It's very rare. So I was really happy to see that, because now COVID gave an opportunity for a new group of talented artists to be seen amongst their peers and become something. And then COVID hit us here. And the same thing happened. Everyone transitioned to online. And it was funny because Wendy would say, the guy that learned one lesson is now professional giving Zoom classes. And there's no one to stop him. But it weeded out really quick. If you had something to share and you had some value, you lasted. You had people following you. You had people investing in you. but it did definitely give an opportunity to people that might have not been seen before because people were eager to continue learning. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Right now, I'm really not happy about the situation, but there's plenty of parties going on in Dallas and Houston, and in Texas is weird. People are dancing; they're not scared, and but it's gonna come back. And I'm gonna try to do my event in October. I hope the things will be better. But Florida, they're full go. That's the go-to place for festivals right now.
Yeah.
So the industry is coming back because a lot of the young people are not afraid.
Right.
So it does affect some. It affects me. So because I'm scared of it. But for the young people, they're not. So yeah, it's gonna start to come back little by little. But this COVID situation did open eyes. It did cause innovation. And I can tell you, I think bachata's changed this year. I've been seeing bachata dance totally different now. They're using new hand movements. They're incorporating different style of modern dance and hip hop. And I'm like, that's not what bachata looked like a year ago, but these are the videos coming out because people are stuck at home and they're learning from a lot of different sources and they're coming up with new styles of bachata. So definitely I think was a positive, even though it was a really difficult time for us. And my personal dancing skills gone down. I haven't done dance in 1 year. So I don't have a partner.
Okay, we have one last question for you before you go. Cadiz, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there are ways that we as individuals or as a class can support bachata artists and their work, especially during this COVID time.
The best way is to see who you like and follow them on Instagram or Facebook and see if they're offering any online courses. This is how the best way at this moment, I think. There's, following them and leaving them comments, praises, because sometimes these people, they post stuff and they don't get any feedback. Any feedback inspires people. You just let them know how you feel, how they're making you feel, how they helped you. Because I've seen some very talented people and I think they're doing great. And then next thing I know, I see a post and they're breaking down and I'm like, whoa, I thought things were going excellent for you. The way you're posting on social media, but then they come back and become real with you and you're like, what it might look like success, there's something behind it. So praise people, give them that good comments and help them move forward, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Jorge. It has been such a pleasure to have you here. And anything else that you would like to add before we say goodbye?
I'm getting my vaccine shot today, so I am super happy. My first one. So in about 2 hours, I'm heading down there to get it. So it's a special day. I got to talk to you all, and I get to do my first step to maybe a normal life again.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Good luck with that. Keep us posted. And thank you again for everything you do, you have done, you are always doing and continue doing for all the dancers and the community and spreading the love of movement and dance.